All right, welcome back. A little over a month ago, I made a YouTube video and y'all seem to have liked it. So we're going up with a brand new one, okay? After that one, I was like, man, what could I possibly do to make this any better? And then I got this insane idea, unthinkable idea. What if I tried to build a PC for $700 in 2026? Yeah, I know it's a little crazy. RAM prices are not the greatest. And honestly, at the start, I didn't know how I was going to meet that $700 threshold. And so, how are we going to build a $700 PC during Ramageddon? Well, and if I'm going to be honest with you, doing it with new parts really isn't going to happen. But we could do it with mostly new parts. A little over a month ago, in my last video, I got a 4070 Ti that was open box but still new for $500. That's insane. So, what was I going to do? Was I going to go on eBay and find something that perfectly matched up to get us right at $700? Yes. Yes, that's exactly what I did. I was able to find an RX 5700 XT for a decent price. I forgot the price. It's been like a month. But I got it to fit within our budget. So let me take you through my journey of building a $700 PC in 2026. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is try to find the parts. Well, how are we going to find a full gaming PC with a decent graphics card for $700? Good question. I'm glad you asked. Okay, and the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to tackle the GPU, because if we can set up a base price for that, we can work with something down the road. Now, my first idea was to look at an RX, maybe a 6650, and just see where we're at on that. Okay, not looking too strong. We have one here for 130, but that's a bid. We really don't want to do bids. Let's change that. Okay, so it looks like our best options are going to be somewhere between the 200 and 300 range. Some even going way higher than that. Let's try like a 5700 XT. This would be what I recommend right now for a budget gaming PC graphics card, because it's not the latest gen by any means, but it's probably similar enough to a 3060. I think it's actually a little bit better than a 3060. So for this build, I think we're going to go with this. Yeah, I think we're going to go with this one. This is 135, which is a little bit more than I was expecting to pay, but I think it's going to be worth it. Okay, so the next thing we need to decide is what type of platform are we going to use? Are we going to go with AM4? Are we going to try and skirt past on AM5? Or are we going to try Intel, which doesn't seem to have the best price to value in performance builds like this? So first, I just want to go and see if I can find a Ryzen 5 5600 that isn't $5 billion. I don't think we're going to be able to do that. Actually, I like this here, which is funny that Amazon recommended it. I think we might have to go with a 5500. Right now, it is down to $88.97, so $89 before tax. I think this is what we're going to have to go with. So this is going to lock in our AM4 pick. Now we need to find an AM4 motherboard that is going to support all of this. So we don't want to go completely cheap out on something like this, but we also can't go for like the $300 motherboards. That we just can't afford that in this budget. So I think the best thing to do is go for a B550, maybe? Ooh, okay. We found an ASRock B550, which normally, in some cases, you don't want to go with ASRock B550s, but I think in something like this with low power, considering we're not using Intel for this build, I think we'll be okay. This isn't the 13th and 14th gen Intel situation anymore. So with an AM4, I'm pretty sure we'll be all right. Now for a cooler, we definitely could just use the base cooler, but I think that we will have a little bit of the budget to play with. I think we'll have just over $20, and the best option that we're going to have is going to be an A40 RGB. And right here we have the $20 Delta A40. Now we could go with this one. I'm not sure which is better. We have a few different options actually. The A40 EX-BK ARGB, this one, which is the SE-BK, which looks like it might have a little bit more RGB on top. I can't tell. I do think that this one may look a little bit better in the case. Honestly, I don't think there's going to be much of a difference in performance, but I think that we're going to go with the SE-BK. Now, our next option is going to be RAM. Now, here's the thing.
I feel like in a build like this, 16 gigabytes, you're going to be good enough in most games, in most situations where you're not going to need more than 16. So in this, I'm not just going to cheap out and go with only an 8, because I know for a fact that's not going to get you anywhere. We're going to run dual channel. AMD really loves their dual channel. Okay, and I've narrowed down on our price range. DDR4 RAM, seeing it at this price is... it actually hurts my soul a little bit. Listen, I think this is going to have to be our best option. This is 3600 megahertz or megatransfers per second. And it's decent timing. I think it's CL18. Yeah, CL18. Honestly, at this point, you got to take what you can. It's going to be about $128.99. And honestly, we don't have many more options, so I think this is what we're going to go with. And now we need to find an M.2 SSD that's not $500 billion, just like everything else. We're going to want a 1 terabyte, so let's add that in. You know, I'm sitting here looking at this Crucial P310. I hate that this is our only option at this point. It's just as expensive as RAM, which is just saying a lot.
So, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is that if you've been watching to this point in the video, that means you like the video. So go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button so that you can check out the new stuff that I plan on doing next week that doesn't take a month of production. The bad news is that Amazon canceled that SSD order that you just saw. So because of that, I decided to compensate and try to get a power supply, and then we went back and forth on that. All of that aside, this is what I ultimately decided. This was the power supply, and this was the case. And so I had to grab this SSD from GameStop, which did put us slightly over our budget. Now I'm going to show you when we finally got all the parts and I was able to put it all together. I'm actually really happy to see the condition of this graphics card came in. It's actually really good. So I've cleaned it the best I can as of now. It may still have a little bit of dust. I'll probably end up cleaning that halfway through this video anyway. But everything else is here, and let's get right into it. And I think our build did really well. I think it looks really good for the money that we spent on it, and we didn't have to go overboard on the case or anything, so you know, I think it looked really great. As far as performance, we're going to take a look at a couple games, starting with Fortnite. On 1080p medium, we were getting about an average of 116, with our 1% lows at an average of 83. Overall, the Ryzen 5 5500 really exceeded my expectations. I'm going to be completely honest with you. For how affordable it is, I think it's doing phenomenal in CPU-based games like Fortnite. And overall, I think the RX 5700 XT is actually really helping us. I think it's doing really good for the money, and I would recommend people to use this in budget builds nowadays. Now, we need to take a look at performance mode, because that is almost entirely CPU. And now, in performance mode, this is where this build really shines. We get an average of 191 FPS, with a 1% low average of about 122. I think it does exceptional in esports games. This type of build, that's kind of what it's more geared towards. If you're wanting to play things like Fortnite, CSGO, Valorant, stuff like that, I think it does the best with those types of games. Now, you won't be surprised that the next game that we try is going to be Marvel Rivals. Alright, and on Marvel Rivals, we're going with 1080p high using FSR3. We get about an average of 66 FPS with a 1% low of 48. Now, I want to preface this, I chose the highest playable graphics settings, and I'm going to be honest with you, maybe other people can tell, but I can never really tell that much difference between the lowest of low settings on 1080p and the highest settings on 1080p. Alright, and on 1080p low, like I said, I can barely tell a difference, but we are averaging about 100 FPS with a 1% low of 71. I think it's doing pretty good, especially with Marvel Rivals, which I've said in the past, especially in my last video, it isn't very consistent. I think it fluctuates very heavily, and also it's poorly optimized, so it shows the gap between technology a lot easier. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know if I did anything wrong or if you think that I could have done better. I certainly could have cut corners, but I wanted to try and get as many new parts as possible. That way you could go on Amazon, buy everything that I had in the video, which you could find in the link in the description, and then find a used graphics card for around that price, which is a pretty generous price range. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you in a couple weeks whenever I do a video on going to Micro Center. Alright, we'll see you later. Bye bye.